The stars hung like scattered jewels across the velvet darkness of space. Among them, the human fighter, Captain Rylan Voss, piloted the Aurora Hawk with steady hands, her eyes scanning the star charts projected before her. She had been assigned a mission many humans would have considered impossible: travel to the Andrali system, a cluster of planets untouched by Earth's influence, and establish peaceful contact. She didn't mind impossible. Humans had a knack for the improbable. At the same time, far across the system, Princess Lyra of Andralis paced the golden halls of the Andralis palace. Her people had celebrated her cleverness for centuries, and she had never lost a wager. But today she had. It had started as a friendly challenge. The Andralis Council had proposed a test of wit and agility, a race through the complex zero-gravity obstacle course orbiting their central planet, Zinthar. Lyra had wagered, as she often did, that no one could beat her, even in her lighter experimental flight suit. But the council had secretly called in a guest, Rylan Voss, the famed human fighter. Humans were known across the galaxies for unpredictability. While most aliens relied on logic, the human way of thinking was chaotic, creative, and often successful in ways outsiders couldn't understand. Lyra had underestimated that. The race had been swift, chaotic, and unforgettable. Lyra had navigated the twisting orbits and floating platforms with grace and precision, but Rylan had an uncanny instinct for improvisation. In moments when paths seemed impossible, she had used thruster bursts, gravity pockets, and even the reflective surfaces of satellites to vault ahead. By the final checkpoint, Lyra had realized she would lose. She crossed the finish line not first but second. And with the loss came a tradition that Andralis valued more than anything: honor in keeping one's word. I suppose you win," Lyra said, bowing slightly before Rylan, who looked almost amused in her human flight suit. The human raised a brow, clearly enjoying the rare moment of seeing a royal humbled. "What is the challenge I must accept?" But her pride would not allow her to refuse, and so, with a deep breath, she agreed. The next morning, Lyra found herself aboard the Aurora Hawk, a human vessel that hummed with energy and technology she didn't fully understand. The ship was sleek, designed for speed and agility, unlike any Andralis craft she had ever seen. The corridors were narrow but efficient, the controls intuitive but foreign. "You'll need to keep up," Rylan said, noticing Lyra's tentative steps. "Humans move fast. Things break, adjust, and fix. That's the only way we survive out here." And yet, there was something about the human's confidence that intrigued her. As they launched from the orbit of Zinthar, leaving its lavender clouds behind, Lyra began to notice small details about the human ship. It responded almost like a living thing. Touch the controls, and it reacted instantly. Systems self-adjusted, thrusters balanced automatically, and even the small robotic assistant seemed to anticipate the pilot's intentions. "You humans call this efficiency?" Lyra asked, her voice carrying both skepticism and curiosity. Rylan chuckled. "Efficiency, adaptability, survival instinct. Pick your favorite." "But it works." During a particularly dangerous maneuver, a fragment of asteroid split from a larger mass, hurtling toward the Aurora Hawk. Ryland's hands danced over the controls, twisting the ship, firing micro-thrusters and redirecting energy to the shields. Lyra froze. "Move," Ryland snapped, though there was no anger in her tone, only urgency. Lyra obeyed instinctively, adjusting the auxiliary controls. Together, their combined action steered the ship away from disaster by a fraction of a meter. Lyra's heart pounded as adrenaline surged through her veins. She had never felt such exhilaration. "You're learning," Ryland said, glancing back with a faint smile. "Not bad for a royal. Most humans start young, but you're catching on fast." "I do not need praise from a human." And somehow they survived, often against impossible odds. One evening, as Zinthar's twin moons reflected silver light across the ship's hull, Lyra finally spoke, her voice quieter than usual. "Why do humans keep pushing, even when failure seems certain. Sometimes you have to break rules, improvise, or trust someone else, and sometimes you just have to try harder than everyone else. She had survived because she had followed the human's lead, even when her instincts screamed otherwise. And each time she had come out stronger, faster, sharper. The next day, they arrived at the northern quadrant, a region dense with uncharted asteroids and strange gravitational anomalies. Their mission: locate a signal detected by Andrali's sensors, one that might indicate another civilization or some lost technology. As they maneuvered closer, Lyra's heart skipped. Massive stone formations floated in chaotic orbits, magnetic storms crackled around them, and shadows danced across the hull as light bent unnaturally through the charged particles. It was dangerous, unpredictable, and perfect. "Ready?" Rylan asked, her hand steady on the controls. Lyra swallowed. "Ready." She was learning, surviving, and unexpectedly thriving. And she was beginning to understand something that might change her forever. Humans, for all their recklessness and chaos, had a way of turning impossible odds into triumph. The northern quadrant waited, full of danger and discovery. But Lyra, for the first time in her life, felt exhilarated rather than anxious. And beside her, the human fighter smiled with a confidence that was contagious. Somehow, she thought, this partnership, forced by a wager she had lost, might just save more than her pride. It might save her entire world. And as the Aurora Hawk darted through the sparkling void, Lyra realized that for the first time she wasn't just a princess. She was a learner, a fighter, and maybe, just maybe, a human ally in a story far larger than herself. The adventure had only just begun. The northern quadrant of Zinthar was unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. Jagged asteroid clusters drifted lazily through space, some glowing faintly with embedded minerals that pulsed like trapped hearts. Magnetic storms surged unpredictably, bending light and casting eerie shadows on the hull of the Aurora Hawk. For a princess used to ornate halls and careful diplomacy, this was chaos incarnate. Rylan maneuvered the ship through the asteroid maze with ease, her instincts honed by years of navigating dangerous space. She spoke calmly, giving instructions that Lyra followed reluctantly at first, then with growing confidence. "Shift the port thrusters by 10%. Watch the grav fluctuation on the left sensor. I'm going to thread us between those two clusters. Don't hesitate." Her stomach lurched, but there was a thrill in the precision, a satisfaction in survival. She had never felt so alive. "This is exhilarating," she admitted, her voice shaky but earnest. Rylan smirked. "Told you humans liked a challenge." Lyra noticed small things she hadn't before. The way Rylan seemed to anticipate turbulence before sensors could even detect it. The slight adjustments she made that weren't in any manual. The way she encouraged Lyra to act rather than simply giving orders. "You're not just following," Rylan said at one point, glancing over. "You're thinking. That's good. Keep it up." She had never been praised in this way by anyone outside her palace, and the validation was strange but welcome. Still, she couldn't help feeling competitive. She wanted to match Rylan, to not just survive but excel. Their mission soon became clear. The signal detected by Andrali's sensors was not random. It pulsed with a pattern, a series of repeating waves that suggested intelligence. Lyra analyzed the readings, while Rylan plotted the safest path closer to the source. "It could be another species," Lyra said, eyes wide with curiosity. "Or perhaps abandoned technology. We must be careful. The universe rewards those who act, not those who hesitate." This was monumental. "Scan it," she instructed, her voice firm despite her awe. Rylan activated the Aurora Hawk's advanced sensors. "No life signs, but energy readings are off the charts. Something is still functioning inside. If it's active, it may have defenses." They both tightened their harnesses as the ship's thrusters compensated for the violent movement. Lyra felt the power of the engines beneath her, a living machine responding to her will, and it was unlike anything she had experienced before. When the turbulence subsided, they had docked. The airlock hissed as it sealed. Lyra and Rylan exchanged a look, one of mutual respect and unspoken agreement. The unknown awaited them, but they would face it together. Inside, the structure was vast and alien. The walls pulsed faintly with energy, like veins of light running through stone. The floor beneath their feet was smooth but uneven, as if shaped by forces beyond comprehension. Strange symbols were etched along the walls, glowing faintly. Lyra traced them with her fingers, fascinated. "They're not just decorative," she whispered. "This is a language or a code." Lyra had to remind herself to trust the human's instincts, which often guided them safely through paths that seemed illogical. It was frustrating at first, but she noticed a pattern emerging. Wherever Rylan led, danger seemed to avoid them, or at least they avoided it. After what felt like hours, they entered a central chamber. In the middle stood a pedestal with a glowing crystal hovering above it. The light was hypnotic, radiating warmth and a strange sense of familiarity. Lyra felt drawn toward it, but Rylan raised a hand. "Wait," she cautioned. "We don't know what this is. Could be a trap, could be a key. Step carefully." Slowly, cautiously, she extended her hand. As her fingers neared it, the chamber hummed and the crystal's light expanded, filling the room with energy. Images flashed before Lyra's eyes, scenes of distant worlds, advanced civilizations, and humans moving among stars she had never imagined. She gasped. It wasn't just a relic, it was a record, a repository of knowledge. A gift, perhaps, or a test left by a civilization long gone. Rylan stepped closer, analyzing the energy flow. "It's compatible with human and Andrali's neural patterns. We might be able to interact with it, learn from it, but we have to be careful. One wrong move and it could overload the system." Immediately, their minds were flooded with information. Maps, star charts, engineering schematics, and languages not yet spoken filled their thoughts. Lyra staggered under the weight of knowledge, but Rylan's presence was grounding. The human had a way of simplifying complexity, breaking down the incomprehensible into manageable tasks. "This is incredible," Lyra whispered. "We could use this to advance Andrali's civilization, to protect our worlds." Despite the exhaustion, Lyra felt a thrill she had never known. Knowledge, exploration, and the bond forged through shared danger. It was intoxicating. Then, without warning, a sudden tremor shook the structure. Warning lights flashed, and the chamber's walls shifted. The energy from the crystal surged violently, as though the structure itself was alive and reacting to their intrusion. "Move," Ryland shouted, guiding Lyra toward an exit corridor. Debris fell around them, but they moved in perfect synchronization, instincts aligned, trust cemented by hours of shared challenge. They barely escaped as the central chamber collapsed behind them. Lyra's heart pounded. They had gained incredible knowledge, yet the dangers of this place were far from over. Outside in the docking bay, Lyra finally exhaled. "We survived together." And in that moment, she respected the human fighter not just for skill, but for vision, ingenuity, and bravery, the very qualities that made humans unpredictable and unstoppable. As they prepared to return to the Aurora Hawk, Lyra looked out into the stars, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known. The northern quadrant had tested her in ways her palace never could. She had learned to trust, to act decisively, and to recognize the power of human ingenuity. And beside her, Rylan adjusted the ship's systems, ready for the next challenge. Together, they would navigate dangers, uncover mysteries, and perhaps change the course of multiple worlds. The stars waited, full of secrets and opportunity. Lyra knew their adventure had only begun, but she also knew one thing with certainty. Humans, with their chaos, courage, and creativity, were a force unlike any she had ever encountered. And she was no longer just a princess. She was a partner, a learner, and a survivor, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The Aurora Hawk drifted silently among the asteroid clusters as Lyra and Rylan made their way back from the ancient structure. The energy readings from the crystal still hummed faintly through their instruments, a reminder of the power and knowledge they had encountered. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. What civilizations might benefit from these discoveries? What technology could protect Andralis, and what dangers might still lie hidden in the quadrant? Rylan, ever vigilant, kept her eyes on the navigation sensors. We've got a clear path, but these asteroid fields are never simple. Magnetic storms can shift them in seconds. Her hands moved with fluid precision over the controls, a dance of instinct and calculation. Stay close to me. We'll go slow where necessary, fast where we can. Understand? She trusted the human's instincts, yet the unknown always brought a creeping unease. Despite this, she felt a thrill unlike anything she had experienced in her palace life. Danger was real, and she had to rise to meet it. As they navigated deeper into the asteroid field, the sensors picked up a massive object approaching. At first, it seemed like another asteroid, drifting in silence. But as it drew nearer, Lyra noticed it moved with intent, adjusting its trajectory as if aware of their presence. "What is that?" Lyra asked, unease creeping into her voice. "Not an asteroid," Rylan said grimly. "That's a ship, and it's not Andralis. We need to be careful. Approach slowly, minimal detection." Its hull was covered in angular plating, strange runes etched along the surface that glowed faintly. Lyra studied the readouts. Their technology, it's advanced, faster than anything we've seen in the quadrant. Either way, they won't be friendly. She adjusted the Aurora Hawk's sensors, trying to mask their signature. "We need to hide and assess. Ready." Lyra held her breath, counting each second, and marveled at how calm Rylan remained. "They're scanning," Rylan whispered. "Hold steady. Close calls are part of the experience. You'll learn to enjoy them, eventually." They continued toward their next objective, a cluster of uncharted moons that Andrali's sensors indicated might contain valuable resources or hidden knowledge. As they approached, the gravitational anomalies intensified. Instruments flickered, and the ship's AI struggled to maintain stability. "Magnetic flux is spiking," Rylan warned. "Hold your position. Let me recalibrate the shields and thrusters." Systems flickered, and a holographic display projected an image of the approaching vessel from earlier. A deep, resonant voice filled the cabin in a language Lyra did not recognize. "Intruders detected. Identify yourselves. We know their movements. If we create a decoy and redirect energy from the thrusters to the shields, we might be able to escape without engaging. We don't want to fight unless necessary." The alien ship pursued, but each movement of the Aurora Hawk was unpredictable, drawing from human improvisation and Andrali's precision. Lyra marveled at how the two styles complemented each other. After a tense chase, the vessel abandoned pursuit, apparently losing their trail. The stars returned to their peaceful glitter, and the hum of the Aurora Hawk's engines filled the cabin. Lyra slumped in her seat, exhausted but exhilarated. "You're improving fast," Rylan said, a hint of admiration in her tone. "You've got instinct and brains. That's a dangerous combination." Energy signatures suggested a powerful reactor and automated defense systems. Rylan studied the readouts. "This is it. Whatever that ship was protecting, this is part of it." The ground was uneven, and jagged crystalline formations jutted from the snow, reflecting light from their ship's external lamps. Lyra wrapped her cloak tightly against the cold, and Rylan checked the environmental systems of her suit. The entrance to the base was partially concealed, a blend of natural ice formations and alien technology. As they entered, the airlock hissed shut behind them, and the hum of the base's energy systems filled the corridor. Strange glyphs and glowing panels lined the walls, indicating that this was not abandoned, it was operational. Lyra and Rylan moved cautiously, every step measured. Their presence triggered sensors, but the system seemed to recognize them as non-hostile, or at least delayed their response. They reached a central chamber where a massive core pulsed with energy, surrounded by intricate machinery and conduits. Lyra's eyes widened. This is unlike anything Andralis has seen. The technology, the energy output, it's incredible. And dangerous. One misstep and we could overload the system. She studied the panels. We need to extract data, but carefully and quickly, if that other ship returns. She decoded sequences while Rylan manipulated energy flows, rerouted power, and neutralized security protocols. Their teamwork was seamless, a blend of strategy and instinct. Suddenly, an alarm blared. The walls vibrated with energy pulses. The alien ship had returned, faster and more aggressive than before. Lyra felt a chill. They're attacking us. We fight smart, not hard. Follow my lead. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually the alien vessel retreated, damaged but not destroyed. Lyra exhaled, her body trembling from adrenaline. We did it together. She had always believed her intelligence and training were enough, but now she understood something new. The combination of human ingenuity, courage, and collaboration could achieve what seemed impossible. As they prepared to leave the moon and return to the Aurora Hawk, Lyra glanced at the data they had retrieved. Plans, energy schematics, and star charts that could change the balance of power in the quadrant lay before them. Her mind raced with possibilities. Rylan noticed her gaze. Careful. Knowledge is power, but power without understanding is dangerous. We'll sort it, use it wisely. Together. She realized that she was no longer the princess who had entered this quadrant, nervous and unsure. She was a partner, a fighter, and a strategist. And beside her, a human had taught her the value of courage, improvisation, and trust. As the Aurora Hawk lifted from the icy moon, Lyra looked out at the stars. Danger and adventure awaited, but she felt ready. And for the first time, she understood the true essence of HFY. Not just survival, but thriving, learning, and surpassing what others believed possible. The universe was vast and challenges were endless. But together, human and princess, they could face them all. The Aurora Hawk moved swiftly through the void, carrying Lyra, Rylan, and the data they had recovered from the alien base. The stars streaked past as the ship adjusted course for a safe Andrali's relay station, but the uneasy feeling in Lyra's chest would not fade. The alien vessel was still out there, and their sudden retreat had felt temporary, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Rylan, Lyra said, breaking the tense silence, how much damage do you think they suffered back on the moon? Where her people might wait for perfection, humans acted, adjusted, and adapted in real time. That combination of courage and improvisation was both reckless and brilliant. The ship passed through a region of space filled with asteroid debris from ancient collisions, a graveyard of worlds long gone. The sensors began picking up faint signals, patterns similar to those from the alien vessel but more dispersed. They're tracking us, Rylan said quietly, or leaving markers. Either way, they know where we're headed. That's the first step. Now let's improvise. Hours passed in tense calculation. The alien ship adapted, changing its trajectory and speed, but the humans' combination of ingenuity and deception kept them ahead. Lyra felt her pulse quicken, not from fear, but from exhilaration. She was no longer an observer. She was a strategist, working seamlessly alongside the human fighter to outthink a civilization far beyond her own. Finally, the alien vessel took the bait. It accelerated toward a cluster of dense asteroids, believing it had trapped the Aurora Hawk. Rylan adjusted their path, leading the intruders deeper into the maze. Lyra spoke, her voice steady. This cluster isn't stable. The gravitational pull will increase with their mass, if we guide them right. We don't need to fight them head-on. Let gravity and chaos do the work for us. Stay focused on our exit path. Rylan's hands moved like lightning, every button press and lever adjustment a testament to experience and instinct. The alien vessel surged ahead, caught in the gravitational turbulence. Its thrusters flared as it struggled to maintain control, but the asteroid field worked against it. Lyra watched in awe as Rylan guided them through the same zone with fluid grace, their ship unscathed while the intruders floundered. Now, Rylan shouted, triggering the final sequence. Lyra diverted auxiliary power to the ship's propulsion systems, and the Aurora Hawk shot forward, weaving through asteroids that seemed to shift and bend under their combined control. The alien vessel, trapped by its own momentum and the chaotic environment, collided with a massive rock formation, sparks and energy flares scattering into space. Lyra gasped. There, stopped. I never imagined victory could feel like this. We must understand what they were protecting. It could change everything for Andrales. Energy pulses flickered along the walls, and Lyra noticed the glyphs glowing with renewed intensity. This place is alive, she whispered. Not just machinery, but intelligent, aware. Lyra decoded the alien glyphs, using logic and pattern recognition. Rylan manipulated the systems, bypassing security and rerouting power without triggering alarms. The synergy between human improvisation and Andrales' intellect was extraordinary. Hours passed in concentrated effort. Finally, they reached the core, the fragments of the alien data integrated into a single energy matrix. Lyra activated the interface and the crystal-like data responded, projecting a holographic map of the quadrant, star systems, and hidden installations. Symbols indicated advanced weapon systems, energy sources, and research facilities. Lyra's eyes widened. This is far beyond Andrales and humans. And we can use it wisely, together. Her mind worked faster than ever, guided by a strange sense of urgency and clarity. This was a true test, not of skill alone, but of teamwork, courage, and quick thinking. As they prepared to depart, the alien vessel, now partially repaired, began sending signals. Its intent was clear: retaliation. Lyra's stomach tightened, but she trusted Rylan implicitly. "We'll lead them away again," Rylan said. "But this time we need an edge. The quadrant, the debris, the gravitational anomalies, we use them all." Rylan piloted with precision, weaving through the asteroid field, and Lyra monitored sensors, relaying critical adjustments. Together, they created a symphony of motion and calculation, each anticipating the other's decisions. The alien vessel followed, aggressive and relentless. But every move they made exploited the vessel's weaknesses, turning the environment itself into an ally. Energy pulses, gravitational fluctuations, and debris collided with the alien ship, slowing it, damaging systems, and forcing it into reactive chaos. Lyra felt her heart pounding, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. We're winning. But we must finish smart. Precise timing. It's over. She had learned more in these days than in her entire life in the palace: courage, ingenuity, trust, and the power of human adaptability. Rylan turned to her, eyes bright with satisfaction. "See, impossible odds, just another day for humans, and apparently you too. I've learned to survive, to fight, to think, and perhaps even to enjoy chaos." She had survived, learned, and triumphed, not alone, but through partnership with a human whose courage and ingenuity had changed the course of her life. As the Aurora Hawk navigated away from the northern quadrant, Lyra looked at the stars. She realized the adventure was far from over. There would be more dangers, more discoveries, and more choices that would test everything she had learned. But she was ready, and beside her the human fighter, Captain Rylan Voss, was ready too. For the first time, Lyra understood the true power of humanity, not just the species, but the spirit. Bold, inventive, and unyielding, humans could face impossible odds and thrive. And she had become part of that spirit, a bridge between worlds, a partner in courage, and a witness to the limitless potential of collaboration. The quadrant stretched before them, filled with secrets, challenges, and opportunities. Lyra knew that whatever came next, she would not face it alone. Together, human and princess, they had rewritten the rules of survival and strategy. And somewhere deep in the stars, other civilizations might be watching, learning, or waiting. But for now, Lyra and Rylan had claimed victory, not just through strength, but through intelligence, trust, and the kind of courage that could turn the impossible into reality. They were ready. and the universe would soon understand that the combination of human ingenuity and Andrali's intellect was a force unlike any other. The Aurora Hawk glided smoothly through the void, leaving the northern quadrant and its dangers behind. Lyra gazed out at the endless stars, feeling a sense of calm she had never known before. The alien vessel was incapacitated, the base neutralized, and the knowledge they had recovered could change the future of Andralis. Yet she knew their adventure was far from over. Ryland sat at the controls, hands steady, eyes scanning sensors with habitual precision. "We've done well," she said, "but we can't get complacent. Whoever built that base, whoever sent that ship, they won't give up easily." She learned about energy grids, propulsion technologies, and complex patterns of interstellar diplomacy. Ryland guided her, explaining the nuances of human strategy and adaptability, teaching her how to combine logic with intuition to solve problems quickly. "This is amazing," Lyra said one evening, reviewing a holographic display of alien star systems. "The technology alone could protect our planet for centuries, but it also raises questions. Who built this? Why? And what happens if someone more aggressive finds it? Humans thrive because we do all three, quickly and without hesitation." "They're coming back." Together, they created a plan to lure the alien vessel into a trap, using the environment and their combined strategy. As they entered the anomaly zone, the Aurora Hawk navigated with extraordinary precision. Turbulence buffeted the hull, magnetic storms flared, and fragments of ancient asteroids drifted dangerously close. Lyra felt the adrenaline rush but maintained her focus. Every calculation, every adjustment was critical. "There," Ryland said, pointing to a gap between two massive asteroids. "If we thread the ship through there, the alien vessel will follow, but it won't handle the fluctuations like we can. Shields at 60%, thrusters ready for rapid adjustments, all auxiliary systems online." Lyra's hands moved with precision, compensating for turbulence and adjusting energy flow. Ryland's control over the ship's thrusters was flawless, each movement synchronized with Lyra's calculations. The alien vessel followed, overconfident and unprepared. The gap narrowed, forcing it to slow down and expend energy to maintain stability. Asteroid debris and gravitational anomalies tore through its systems, causing sparks and minor explosions across its hull. Lyra felt a thrill of satisfaction. Their strategy was working. "Now," Ryland said, her voice calm but commanding, "divert all energy to the propulsion system and accelerate through the secondary gap." The Aurora Hawk shot forward, barely skimming past massive asteroids. The alien vessel, caught in the turbulence and energy shifts, collided with a cluster of debris, systems failing under the pressure. They had done it. Lyra exhaled, the tension finally leaving her body. "It's over," she whispered, disbelief and relief mingling in her voice. Rylan allowed herself a small smile. "For now." But victory isn't just about defeating enemies. It's about understanding the universe, learning from it, and using that knowledge wisely. And in doing so, they inspired others to grow stronger. With the alien vessel incapacitated, they returned to the icy moon to secure the data fragments and ensure the base was safely neutralized. Lyra carefully extracted the remaining information, working alongside Rylan. Each fragment revealed more about the advanced technology, energy sources, and defensive mechanisms of the unknown civilization. "This is incredible," Lyra said, her eyes shining. "With this knowledge, we can protect Andralis, advance our technology, and perhaps even establish alliances across the quadrant. Now we need to plan, implement, and ensure it benefits more than just us." As they prepared to leave the quadrant and return to Andralis, the Aurora Hawk moved through the void with precision and speed. The stars stretched into streaks of light as they navigated through hyperspace lanes and gravity wells. Lyra marveled at the universe, its vastness, and the endless possibilities it held. "Do you think we'll face more threats?" she asked quietly, glancing at Rylan. Always, Rylan replied. The universe is full of challenges, some we can see, some we can't. But now we're ready. You've learned to think, adapt, and act. And we've learned to trust each other. That's more important than any weapon or technology. She had seen courage, ingenuity, and determination firsthand, and she understood why humans were often underestimated by other civilizations. Their strength wasn't just physical or technological, it was their spirit, their ability to turn chaos into opportunity, and their willingness to fight against impossible odds. When they finally approached the Andrali's relay station, they were greeted as heroes. The data they had retrieved and the experience they had gained would transform Andrali's technology and strategy. Lyra briefed the council on their discoveries, explaining the importance of human ingenuity and the lessons she had learned from Rylan. The council listened in awe, amazed not just by the knowledge but by the partnership that had made it possible. Lyra realized that her people had much to learn from humans, not just in technology, but in mindset, courage, and adaptability. Later, as the stars turned slowly outside the station's observation deck, Lyra stood beside Rylan. I never imagined that losing a wager could lead to this, she said softly. Rylan grinned. Sometimes losing is the first step to winning. You've seen it firsthand. She understood now that true strength came from courage, creativity, and collaboration, values humans embodied fully. I've learned a lot from you, she admitted. Not just how to survive, but how to think differently, act decisively, and trust it, even when it's difficult. You're a natural leader. Humans aren't the only ones capable of greatness. Humans and Andrali's partnership. When we combine our strengths, nothing is impossible. Now she was a partner, a fighter, and a strategist ready to face any challenge the universe presented. As the Aurora Hawk prepared for its next journey, Lyra reflected on the lessons of the Northern Quadrant. That knowledge was power, courage was essential, and trust could turn the impossible into victory. And beside her, the human fighter Rylan Voss prepared the ship for its next adventure, a smile on her face, ready to navigate whatever the universe would throw at them next. Lyra's gaze turned outward toward the stars, feeling a profound sense of wonder. They had faced danger, discovered secrets, and survived challenges that would have overwhelmed most. And yet they had done it together, combining human ingenuity and Andrali's intellect in a way that no enemy could anticipate. The universe was vast, full of unknown civilizations, hidden dangers, and unimaginable opportunities. But Lyra knew one thing for certain. As long as humans and Andralis worked together, no obstacle was insurmountable. The stars stretched endlessly, and Lyra smiled. This was only the beginning. Adventure, discovery, and triumph awaited, and she, once a cautious princess, was now a part of something far greater than herself, a partnership that could change worlds. Together, human and princess, they faced the infinite possibilities of space with courage, intelligence, and unyielding determination. And in that, Lyra understood the true power of humanity, and the limitless potential that comes from combining skill, spirit, and collaboration. The universe waited, and Lyra was ready.